back to KidLiterati. I'm author Katelyn Aronson, and today's episode is dedicated to terrific titling techniques. As you may know, I run a professional critique service for picture book manuscripts, and in exchanges with my critique clients, I often get asked how best to title a story. If you're currently stressing over a title for your work in progress, please know that a title is not as important as, say, a pitch when it comes to the selling of your story. A weak, working title for an otherwise great manuscript is not a deal breaker. Your title, from first draft to Publisher's Weekly announcement to published book, can and will change with the help of your editor and or marketing team. Now, I've only been a published author for 3 years now, but of the 7 stories I've sold so far, only 2 kept the title that I originally gave them. Your priority when submitting your work is to choose a title that is as attention-grabbing as possible, because after all, it is the first thing that an agent or editor is going to see when considering your story, and you do want to stand out in the sea of other titles. Today, I've collected for you a bunch of techniques used in making terrific titles. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do. I'd so appreciate it. If, in addition to subscribing, you like and comment my kickoff video, you'll be entered for a chance to win any 2 of my books' Winner's Choice. We'll start with perhaps one of the most basic and prevalent ways to make a title sing, using alliteration, the repetition of letters or sounds in a string of words. Consonance uses repeated consonant sounds, while assonance uses repeated vowel sounds. So for example, in my book, Clovis Keeps His Cool, I used consonance, a repetition of the k sound. With my editor and publisher, we went through many variations before settling on this title. I had suggested Clovis Loses His Cool, which would have employed assonance with the sound oo. Clovis loses his cool. But in the end, my publisher wanted to put a more positive spin on the title, and the use of keeps gave us the current consonants. For the sequel, which comes out in 2024, we wanted to continue this alliterative tradition. I suggested the titles Clovis Cracks the Case, or even Clovis Cracks Up, which I do still love, by the way. But because my publisher wanted to underline the social-emotional learning element of the book, we batted around probably 50 different titles. Finally, I suggested Clovis Suspects a Sneak, which was approved. Phew! But here's an example of assonance, Lester's Dreadful Sweaters, with the vowel sound e repeated 3 times. Number 2. Rhyme's another catchy way to make your title sing. Consider these examples and listen to them ring. Dylan the Villain. Nanette's Baguette, which rhymes even better in the translated French version, La Baguette de Nanette. And my personal favorite when it comes to rhyming titles, The Chupacabra Ate the Candelabra, double points for rhyme and randomness. I love this silly book. Number 3, clever puns. Look at how these titles use wordplay for our read-aloud delight. Instead of chips and salsa, chicks and salsa. Fox and Son Tailors ORS becomes Fox and Son Tailors ERS. And instead of holiday, holla-day. Brilliant! Number 4. Cultural reference. And by that I mean titles that make references to popular culture, movies, and literature. Rubio and Julienne is a cheese and fruit parody of Romeo and Juliet. Ronan the librarian, of course, plays on Conan the Barbarian. And the title of When P.B. Met J was borrowed from When Harry Met Sally. Number 5, directly addressing the audience. Here I'm referring to titles that break the fourth wall. that barrier separating the work from its audience, by speaking directly to the reader. For example, some titles do this in the imperative. Do not open this book. Or by begging, please open this book. Or even promising or threatening, someday a bird will poop on you. Talk about memorable titles. Number 6, exclamation or interjection. Here's one example of a title that draws us in with an exclamation. Oh, look! A cake! We're plunged into the action of the story and we haven't even cracked the cover yet. Number 7, extra long title. These are the titles that have the audacity to include lots of words for an over-the-top effect. A classic example, of course, is Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. And a more recent example is the non-fiction book Jonas Hanway's Scurrilous, Scandalous, Shockingly Sensational Umbrella. 8. Idiom twist. A little twist on a well-known idiom or expression can have a big effect. Cloudy with a chance of rain becomes cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Or the great outdoors becomes the great indoors. And finally, number 9, invented words and loan words. Some titles are simply the invented names or concepts unique to that story. Whether we're talking about the Gruffalo or the Snatch-a-Book, these never-before-heard words intrigue us right away. In my case, for my forthcoming picture book, Orphaline, I used a loan word. A loan word is a word borrowed from another language, and I based the name Orphaline on the feminine of the French for orphan, because my story is about a lost merbaby. I loved the soft, otherworldly sound of Orphaline, reminiscent of Ondine, the water nymph of German mythology. By the way, this isn't the real cover, since the book doesn't come out until 2025. Et voilà! Tons of techniques for making your titles terrific. Thank you to all the authors featured today. And thank you for joining me once again here on KidLiterati. I'll be back real soon. À bientôt!